What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Fourth and Goal Sports Show. I'm your host, Tyrus Filson. Today, we got an interesting topic. Today, we're going to be talking about the Caitlin Clark controversy. A lot of people are talking about Caitlin Clark right now because of what transpired between the Chicago Sky and the Indiana Fever game recently. And, a lot of people are talking about this not only just because of what occurred in that game, but what some people would argue has been occurring all throughout this season, which is, in fact, the mistreatment or the egregious treatment of WNBA rookie Caitlin Clark. Now, a lot of people are of the opinion that Clark has been, in some ways, bullied, mistreated, ostracized, isolated, hated on by some of her colleagues in the WNBA. A lot of people argue that a lot of these other women in the league are jealous somewhat to the success, to the acknowledgement, to the attention and support and celebration that Clark has been getting, not only from women viewers, but of men viewers as well. Just viewers overall. Everybody seems to be pushing hard for Clark. She's a great player. She exemplifies great sportsmanship. And a lot of people feel like she's getting hated on because of the impact that she's bringing to the game. And what made that opinion skyrocket, what made that whole situation get 10 times worse, in the belief that she's being hated on, mistreated, was what transpired in the Chicago Sky versus Indiana Fever game when Kennedy Carter egregiously pushed Caitlin Clark. This got people talking. This got people amped. This got people mad. It got people mad and upset for a number of reasons, and a number of various routes that people took upon interpreting this moment, right? Now, a lot of people ran with the belief that it was just straight up jealousy. You had people saying it's racial. They're hating on her because she's a white girl, having all the success, beating all the black players. They're saying such things as like, oh, they're all jealous because we're here to watch her. We don't really care as much about all these other players. I've heard tons of those arguments. I've heard those things on the internet, and I've also heard those things from a number of people, right? But when it comes to the whole Kennedy Carter incident specifically, that has most recently got people talking about the mistreatment of Caitlin Clark, in my personal opinion, if you were to go back and watch what transpired, Caitlin Clark and Kennedy Carter were going back and forth throughout the game. They were yapping at each other. They were saying things. They were going at each other. That was evident. A lot of people didn't pay attention to that. A lot of people just saw the end result. What you needed to see was, it wasn't just like Kennedy Carter was just bullying Clark all game, right? They were going back and forth. They were going at each other. A lot of people don't acknowledge that Clark is not just a star player. She's a talker on the court. She's gonna talk her junk. She's gonna talk her trash. And let's dispel this whole myth that just because she's a white girl and she's playing against all these black players that she's not going to run her mouth and talk trash. This is a competitive game, folks. It's competition. These are the highest of the highest when it comes to women's basketball. This is the top of the top, right? So it's going to be competition, right? Now, when you're arguing, things can get heated, and that's clearly what happened. Obviously, things got heated, and Kennedy decided to push Caitlin Clark, which in my opinion was egregious. It was the wrong thing to do. She clearly let her anger and emotions override her judgment, and that's why she got a flagrant. That's why, this got blown out of proportion because of her actions. But let's be real. They were going back and forth, arguing. They were going back and forth, physicality. Like, this was a back and forth thing, and people focused more so on the end result. I feel like people are misinterpreting what really went on. They were going back and forth throughout the game, and people like to take a little tidbit, a little small section of the whole situation, and they focus on that small little section. They focused on that climax, which was Kennedy Carter pushing over Caitlin Clark because she let her emotions get the best. And that's how sports are sometimes, It tends to get emotional. You're supposed to stay composed, but as we see in the WNBA, and not only that, but in the NBA, competitiveness sometimes gets emotional. Emotions rise, and sometimes players don't always make the best decisions. I don't understand why this is just such a big deal in the WNBA, and this is such a big story. And I feel like it's mostly the male watchers of the WNBA that are blowing this story out of proportion, trying to make it seem like Caitlin Clark has been treated wrongly, abused. Some people are going to the extent to say she got assaulted on the court. Like, what are we talking about? What are we seriously talking about? If this was the NBA, if this was Draymond Green and Rudy Gobert, which we've seen before, that was a crazy situation. Were y'all calling that? Oh, he got assaulted on the court. Oh, he got this, he got that. I mean, what are we doing here? Seriously, what are we doing? Like, we've seen competitive moments such as these, where tensions are flaring up, where emotions are high, and the best decisions aren't made, and fights break out. We've seen plenty of situations like that in the NBA, in other sports, and it's really never gotten to this extent of the media trying to blow this up and try to make it a racial component, try to make it, they all hate her component. Like stop that. Just stop it. I think the perfect comparison for this would be Michael Jordan and the Detroit Pistons. Take Michael Jordan when he got in the league. Michael Jordan was the new hot shot. He was the new hot shot. And people were jealous. People didn't like Michael Jordan. People hated on Michael Jordan when he got in the league, because the league was trying to make him the face after, Bird and Magic. Mike was being made the face, the next star, the shiny new car. And people didn't like that. And when Mike started to get a little better with his game over time, you saw what the Detroit Pistons had for him. They hated Mike. They abused Mike on the court, like y'all want to use these terms. And guess what? At the end of the day, it was just competition. It was just basketball. The same people that are saying Caitlin Clark has been abused on the court, hated on, jealousy, want to add this stupid racial component. The people that are saying all that buffoonery, would you say the same thing about Bill Laimbeer and Michael Jordan? Bill Laimbeer didn't like Michael Jordan. When Michael Jordan went down the hole and came into the paint and tried to score, Bill Laimbeer was knocking his ass on the ground every dang play. He was knocking his butt on the ground every dang play. He was doing that. Are we calling that a racial component? No, it's competition, folks. It's competitive competition. And no, I'm not trying to justify what Kennedy Carter did, because 100% it was wrong. Like, you need to get a grip and control your emotions while you're on the court, because you're going to get somebody hurt. You're going to you could get your teammates hurt. You can get your opponents hurt. You could cost yourself a job. You could ruin your career. She needs to get a grip for sure. But guys, get a grip yourselves. It wasn't a racial thing. It's just competition. And for all of y'all who feel like they're treating Caitlin Clark some type of way, get this idea through your head. They don't have to like her. This is the real world. People don't have to like you and pull out a red carpet for you just because everybody else admires you. This is the real world, folks. Y'all got to grow up. Like, Caitlin Clark is a great player. She's bringing great attention to the WNBA. She's doing great things. But her competitors don't care about that. Her competition doesn't care that she's doing all these things. And nor should they. Because at the end of the day, when they stand in front of her, face to face, against her, none of that matters. It's strictly business. It's strictly competition. It's strictly, you're standing in the way of me in victory. So when competition gets heated, it's not always the best result. We've seen that with Kennedy Carter and what happened here. But it's important that we are mindful and remembering it's just that. Heated competition. Nothing more and nothing less. And that's the beauty of sports. Like, not every story has to be this whole racial undertone that the media is trying to turn it out to be. Sometimes it's just that. It's just competition. It's just heated competition. And these storylines that are building up, the media is going to do what they want with them. But please remember, nobody has to like Caitlin Clark. Nobody has to love Caitlin Clark. Nobody has to like her. There's players that, they might, who knows, they might just be jealous of her. But guess what? It doesn't matter. They don't have to like her. This is a sport where when I'm on the court and you're up against me, you best believe I'm throwing everything I have at you to stop you from beating me. This is competition, folks. And to be honest, I really feel like if this same situation happened in the NBA, we wouldn't even be talking about this. Because the levels of perception when it comes to men's sports and women's sports, it's really just stupidity amongst people that try to create these unnecessary storylines. And it's like the women's, they're doing their thing. They're competing. They're having fun. And yes, it gets heated sometimes, but was it as big as you guys blew it up to be? No, it wasn't. If this happened in the NBA, which it has, it'd be just another regular game that got heated. It might be posted on an Instagram reel, and guess what? By next week, we'd be over it. It'd be done. But you got these lousy, no good media people that are destined, that are determined on trying to get another money grab, racial tension, athletic story. Because there's nothing that America eats up more than racial conflict in sports. Tell me I'm wrong. This is the Fourth and Goal Sports Show. I'm your host, Tyrus Filson. Please be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, as well as follow to the Fourth and Goal Sports Instagram page. Thanks for watching. Have a blessed day. Peace.